Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Patrox Radio. I'm your host, Patrox, of course, and today I wanted to discuss something that I hope we can come back to frequently. Mostly the topic of personal well being and mental health. And alongside that, of course, your physical health, as those play an interlinking role a lot of the times when you try to focus on your mental health. It is something I have more or less struggled with being on track for the most part, as I have consistently gained weight throughout my life with the inability of keeping it off for long periods of times, whether that's just because I don't control my appetite or just my general consumption, or because I smoked too much weed and I get very lethargic and stopped exercising. These things have affected me while I was young, not to the extent that it has now. It really kind of changed whenever I had turned about 20-ish, shortly after high school and everything. But either way, it's something that is a universal thing that we all worry about: our health, our wellness, our mental health. It is something that we all come to try to come to grips with when we have the energy to. But a lot of us don't, especially in this day and age. A lot of external factors keep weighing on us, adding stress to our everyday psyche, and it weighs us down in the long run, and we no longer have the energy to take care of ourselves to the extent that we should. Or we grew up in environments that reinforced lies that, again, didn't provide us with the mental stability and mental strength and clarity to work through issues. You know, you may take bad lessons away from things and it leads to worse results later on. This could be anything from simply eating, like making sure you eat every bite of your food on a plate because you have, habit insecurities already like built in from childhood, or it could be things that, extend much farther and are a little more, let's say, existential, to full-blown panic attacks. I broke down 6 things, at least for myself, that I think are going to be kind of key points for me to focus on. And they may provide somewhat of a soft rubric for you guys to kind of build upon. Take some things away, add some things of your own. Maybe you have different things you need to focus on entirely. Maybe you have more or less. I don't know. But hopefully, my experimental path to try and find out will reinforce better habits and questions in you. So the 6 things that I want to try to focus on is, first off, hygiene, just general hygiene. It's not that I'm a dirty person, but I'm inconsistent in my cleaning. Routine. Routine is fundamental for, anybody who is ADD or generally on the spectrum, which I am, and a lot of my family is also ADD, and my father's on the spectrum. So it's something that becomes a very vital force in getting things done and being productive. Diet and exercise, of course, because I am overweight and I am underactive. So things I need to focus on, things I need to get into check. These are traditional things that everyone knows about. But then 2 things that are going to be kind of out there. So I have awareness and openness. So awareness for me is really learning to be honest with yourself and be honest with those in your environment. Or to be open, not open. What's the word? To be cognizant of your environment and how that affects you. Awareness in this context, I wanted to really emphasize the idea of being able to look inwards and be honest with what you see. Be honest with what you actually feel and work to verbalize it, work to construct an actual coherent understanding of what you're feeling. It may take time to work through, and that understanding is hard, but we'll dig into that a bit more later. The last one is openness. This is kind of in the reverse. Once you are aware of a problem, likely you may be able to ease it or heal yourself with being open with other people, because sometimes things aren't just necessarily a physical issue, they're mental issues. I'm feeling really stressed. I'm feeling really anxious. This guy is making me uncomfortable. I'm feeling really angry. I'm going to punch my coworker in their face. These kinds of things. Like being aware of the problem and verbalizing it to work through a better path. The way I broke these things down is I tried to keep them in two specific sections. And the first two, the hygiene and routine, is really for my mental sake. Even though, yes, these are all for mental health at the end of the day, these are the mind category of focus, with diet and exercise being the physical category of focus. Awareness and openness becomes a spiritual path of openness. I don't know what I'm saying. Sorry. These things, the mind, body, and spirit, was just kind of a mental construction that I used to kind of satisfy some just annoying, little voice in the back of my head that wants to make clean, socially understandable constructions in the back of my head. All of these things at the end of the day, they're just different aspects of things that can affect you psychologically and physically, okay? Whether you believe in a spirit or an ephemeral realm, that doesn't really matter. This was just a fun construction in my head that makes sense, that allows me to approach what I feel is the most of what I suffer with, what I struggle with. So this wound up working for me, and it satisfies all the weird little quirks in my head. So I'm just going to start going down them and be honest. So with hygiene, like a lot of guys, whenever I was young, absolutely terrible. Was very bad at being clean. I was very bad at staying clean. And like a lot of guys now, at the time, I was very bad at even knowing how to properly clean. I was very bad about keeping my space clear and able to be walked through, to be able to at least see the ground, to have trash in the proper spaces, and to have dishes done. A lot of this can come down to executive dysfunction. A lot of this can come down to just being apathetic. Whatever the multitude of reasons that it wound up happening for me, I have been lacking in most of my life. Now, with that lacking came some rude awakenings, some angry girlfriends, and not so pleasant comments from the family that eventually I kind of had to say, okay, what am I doing wrong? I finally woke up and said, I need to get on top of this, and slowly have been learning better habits. Am I perfect or ideal? Far from it still. I mean, as I'm looking at it now, I have shoes and socks just littered right next to my desk. I have my bag strewn about on the floor, but that's honestly the extent of it. It's not like I have my entire laundry literally all over the floor in my walking path. It's not like I have the cat litter box overflowing, or that I have dishes piled higher than the microwave. I don't have those problems because I started tackling them one by one, but I still have room to grow. I still have things to do better. Hygiene, I've been using to describe mostly as cleaning yourself, but I do want to emphasize again, this is more than just cleaning yourself. This is cleaning your space. This is cleaning what we can call your domain, what is in your control. This could be your house, this could be your car, this could be your workspace. This could be some outdoor space that you are responsible for. So being on top of the tidiness is an important routine in healthy awareness of, just a clean environment. It is not only just cleaner, you have less microbes and pathogens to deal with, but you also have less clutter that can be distracting. Now, if you are a creative person, this might actually sound counterintuitive, as there's a lot of evidence to suggest that a messy environment breeds more creativity. But at the same time, I do think that there are things that should be done within reasonable control. So if you are one of those creative types, and that's a big part of your life, say it's your job or a absolute passion of yours, you might need to find some form of balance between that need for a messy space to breed that creativity and the level of, hygiene awareness that you need to have for yourself and for your daily life, your daily practice. You know, if you are a young teenager, who's not really super up to date or caring about what he's doing, even he or she doing, basic things that you should be on top of. Do your laundry once a week. Make sure you brush your teeth. I know it's fucking annoying. You can make it simple by doing it in the shower. Get everything done in one spot. Wash your body properly and wash your hair properly. Now, this one kind of surprised me. I know I didn't know how to wash my hair properly, but a lot of my guy friends didn't know how to wash your hair properly. Shampoo is for the scalp, conditioners for the rest of your hair. If your hair is short, you might be able to get away with just the shampoo, not worry about conditioner. I don't know. Really check your hair type. There are tons of videos that'll go over different types of hair, different issues that you may have, and different products that can help. For me, I really suggest you look for more natural remedies unless you have specific allergens or you are in an area where certain products are unavailable. Do what is best for you. So with that out of the way, I want to get into routine because this one has been the bane of my existence. Routine has been nailed into my head since I was a kid as the most vital tool to getting shit done for myself. And I have accepted that that's true for myself. I have already accepted that, but I struggle with enacting that. And a lot of this comes down to the executive dysfunction issue that I highlighted earlier. Essentially, I have a hard time staying consistent with active, immediate actions or requests that are things that I need to do to an extent. I'm sure there's a much more technical definition out there. I just haven't looked it up today because this is more of a free form episode. So feel free to correct me. I welcome it. But essentially, I have a hard time staying on track of things. And with new opportunities on the horizon, it is something that I have to get nailed down now. This brings up the questions of medication. See, as a child, I know I took 2 pills for the most of the time. One was for the ADD, that was the Adderall, which I later switched to Vyvanse. And then for most of the time, I was also on Zoloft as an antidepressant and an anti-anxiety. So I just remember taking those 2 for the most part and having really high dosages, and I would feel like a zombie. It would keep me on track. I would get everything done, but I felt kind of hollow inside, if that makes sense. I felt kind of immobile in a sense, or like my personality was kind of like numbed. I don't know. It was weird, and it was just a sensation I did not like. And at some point in high school, I just actively stopped taking them. I refused to take them, and so we stopped buying them. And I enjoyed that. I felt more like me. I got to explore who I really am. But it's been more than 10 years since then. So now I have to go back to the question. Now that I know myself much better, I have struggled with accepting that fact that I might actually be better on some form of both of those medications again. So I have to open up that can of worms with myself. I have to find a doctor that is within my network and see what I can do. It's going to be expensive, but if it makes me better, I'm going to have to try to find it. I'm going to have to try to work for it, whatever it takes. I don't know. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but I know that that's not a key worry for me right now. I know that that is a thought that will weigh me down, and it's an important question. It is one that I can't ignore, but I don't want to let it add to the stress I already feel and throw me off more in some of my days. So routine is vital, but as you can see for myself, it may open up a question if you struggled with medication for ADD or anything like that. It's a question I don't like, but I think I'm gonna have to go back onto it. And for those of you who don't have that issue and love your Adderall or anything like that, who are prescribed it, I am jealous. I wish I could have embraced it like that as a kid, but no, here I am. And my daily habits are ruined. So, diet and exercise, I'm just going to lump these together because they are old and traditional and we know them. So, I don't have any studies offhand, but diet and exercise are very key to changing both your physical well being, but also with that, you change how you feel internally and can often feel better and have a more positive outlook on your life. I liked I like the idea of thinking of diet and exercise as self care and not as personal motivators, as a lot of guys will, because I feel like that's more sustainable as a personal motivator, that you are doing what you're doing because you're taking care of yourself. It's a much harder pill to swallow, but once you can, it's much better for you. Unfortunately, a lot of guys look into these workout videos or diet videos and they fall into this trap of like some super toxic masculine shit. And I did for a while too. And it really kind of sucks because what happens is that you get washed with images of really buff, really like, trimmed dudes, and you look at yourself as a fat piece of shit in the mirror, and then they keep telling you that's why she doesn't care about you, that's why no one talks to you, that's why you don't get anything in life. And I don't think that that's really helpful, because if you look at it like a scale, you're chipping away at someone's mental health to build their physical health, but that doesn't make them healthier, in my opinion. It just makes them more physically fit, because health for me both also involves the mental health along with the physical health. Physical health is really well understood to this point in day and age, so questioning that is kind of futile. But a lot of people still question mental health, even though we've made constant strides and advancements in our understanding of medication and our understanding of how we interact with each other, our awareness of certain social certain psychological, I'm forgetting the word, syndromes, or just like neurodivergencies. There you go. I don't know why I was trying to say symptoms, but you find these other people that are becoming more aware and understood in the medical industry. So I find it kind of funny that people still argue it, but a lot of people will still use these age-old tactics because they work, because it guilts people into it, and a lot of them are kids in their teens or young adulthood. That was me. That was what happened to me. I was probably 17 when I first started watching a bunch of them. When my older brother got out of the army, he was a physical trainer for a little bit and even got me starting to work out. But I've always hated working out. I hate the feeling. I hate the sensation. I've never gotten comfortable with it. And that's a big reason I don't do it. But I don't want to continue building up a negative mindset of it. I recognize what it is, but I'm falling back into the bad habits of apathy and just pure laziness that I have developed by not having a good routine. And all of this is the same with my diet. I I try to cook a lot more, and I try to embrace more vegetables in my food and just have a more diverse palate. I don't like to worry too much about, things like the calorie intake and whatnot, because I'm just adding an excess amount of information into my head of things I already worry about. Which you think is a bad argument for me, because it's for my health and I should be taking care of myself first and foremost instead of worrying about what's going on in the world. And that's a very valid argument. I just don't do it. Sorry. I don't know. Maybe we'll cross that bridge in another day. But my diet is probably worse than my exercise, because with my diet, I have control and I just don't exercise it. I comfort eat way too much, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm more depressed or if I'm actually happy. I don't know. I don't have a clear understanding of where any of this starts and ends right now. I am trying to be more aware of whenever I'm eating unnecessarily. It's just led me to different mood swings, and now lately I'll go through days where I don't eat and days that I eat way too much. and it's just not helping. So, trying to battle whatever's going on with that and getting back on a better routine of my diet and my exercise is all going to be like one cohesive effort. It's one big effort, to get all of these things going. But I have struggled doing that, so I got to figure out how to break that down. You know, it's hard to be consistent, but that's no excuse to not do it. That's no excuse to not try. There's no excuse to not make efforts towards doing that, I think. So, why do I still struggle? Well, I think a large part of this, for a long time at least, was because I lacked awareness and openness. With awareness, this was being honest with my bad habits, being honest with the state of my well being, being honest with how, broken I felt, being honest with my situation, and being honest with just how I internalized all that. I'd never done a lot of this before, and I still struggle with it very much. But like many people, I talk to myself when I'm at home. I use those opportunities to really just try to verbalize whatever I'm feeling because there's nobody around to shame me. There's nobody around to mock me, so who fucking cares? I'm doing this to try to figure out what the fuck's going on. And after a while, you'll learn how to really verbalize whatever you're feeling because it becomes repetitious, it becomes familiar. You get to build upon previous information that you have developed for yourself because you're understanding your internal conflictions and feelings. I just feel that if you allow yourself to finally just be honest with yourself, you have achieved the first step that is vital to getting there. With this step is how I came to the conclusion that I probably should be back on some medication. With this conclusion, it's how I came to the realization that the biggest things holding me back is nothing physical. It's the habitual laziness and apathetic nature that I've developed over like the past decade. From working exhaustive jobs in the food industry to moving across the country and working in packaging facilities. It's just, it took so much out of me. And I let, the excuse of I don't have enough free time to just lay around and develop these bad habits. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy your free time. It's your time. Your leisure is important. But I didn't do it in probably the best way for myself. There is a balancing act. Yes, you should have the ability to just lounge around and eat junk food. Find your favorite, potato chips and salsa. If you're like me, I love chips and salsa. And then just watch whatever Netflix or Hulu show you want to binge. But do it in moderation. Do it in a way that is actually healthy without overtaking all of your available time. Actually sleep, try to sleep 6 to 8 hours a day. Actually try to make sure you eat some vegetables, even if you do want to end the day with, your favorite beer and, burger. That's fine. This is made a lot harder when you have kids, and it's a near impossible balancing act. I, not having experience into parenthood like that, I don't have any advice, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes in their experience. So I'm not going to comment on that right now. But all in all, I think learning to be honest in how you approach things and what you see is going to be the long, painful first step that's actually going to breed longer, more substantial results for yourself. And conversely with that, you also need to have openness. You need to be able to be comfortable in having that dialogue with people because no one man is an island. We cannot survive on our own like that. When we have internal conflict and we're aware of the problem, that doesn't mean that we are aware of the solution or if there are other factors that we aren't even privy to yet. You know, openness can be more than just talking to your therapist. It's just talking to a friend. It's talking to a family member. It's talking to a roommate, a lover, whoever. Doesn't matter. It's being honest with what you're feeling and allowing somebody to engage and embrace that too. Allowing somebody to be there to comfort you, to be there to help you, and be there to support you, whatever it is that you need. Different conflicts or emotions within you will require different aids. And unfortunately, some people are probably going to be better at this than others. It's not an exact science. But I think the consistent practice and willingness to try to better yourself in this manner will help in the long run as you can establish more personable relationships with the people that you trust. You can build more reliable networks, and you can to build more dependency between each other, because you know that if you are struggling, somebody will have you. You know that somebody can take care of you when you can't. And that's okay. That's a good thing to have. It's called having a safety net with your friends, with your family, with your peers that you trust the most. I don't know what that's like for you. I know what it's like for me because I've built mine. I've taken time to build mine. It's also taken a lot of pruning, because there are some people who are going to be very bad for you and just do not contribute to a positive environment. Maybe it's a bad lover. Maybe it's a bad family member. Maybe it's someone from the past, whether it's a coworker, an ex, or something. I don't know. But these people can often crop up in your life in different circumstances too, and just contribute to a negative environment that's not helping you. But some people are people pleasers. Some people are pushovers. Some people want to help people unconditionally. And as great as that is, you have to recognize the boundary and when that's good for you, and when it's when it's good for them, and when it's starting to take from you. And this could be emotionally, it could be physically, it could be any number of things. If it starts to take a toll on you, you have the right to say, I don't want to be around this environment anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. You have that right, and you have the right to leave. So I don't want anybody to tell you you don't. So, all in all, these are 6 key things that for me I feel are most vital in my journey to getting better with my physical health, but more importantly, my mental health. I want to cover a lot of things, especially for men's mental health, such as sexual awareness, such as suicide awareness, such as body stigmas, and all other factors that affect us. Whether you're cis or trans, I want to also open up that conversation later on, as I feel like it's an important conversation to develop, especially when you're young, and have an understanding when you're young, as things are going to constantly be in flux as you get older. A lot of our environments for kids they will seem static whenever you're a kid, but a lot of kids are smart too, and they know that things will change, but they aren't aware exactly how things will change. So I think being careful, and I think taking the appropriate steps to prepare ourselves as things constantly do change, and we realize that life is more constantly in flux, and that people's lives will change. Maybe my life will change. Maybe I have to start asking myself questions that a lot of my friends didn't. That happened with me whenever I discovered that I was, I say bi, but at this point, I think I probably fall more into a pan category. As I am more aware of things, I ask better questions for myself, and I come to more conclusions that I previously didn't think I had. So you learn about yourself the more you're open and honest, and it's done me wonders. I'm telling you now, as much as I might feel like shit, I feel better now than I did as a teenager about who I am, about what I'm doing, and where I'm at in life. So it's not like progress can't be made. It's just if it's slow, it's hard to see. But I hope that this conversation opened your eyes to at least wanting to try. Maybe you gave up or you didn't see a reason. I hope that at least this conversation sparked an interest to try again. I really do. I really encourage it. I know what it's like to be in a bad space. I know what it's like for that to weigh on you, especially for years, and when it's real issues that are outside of your control. I get that. I really relate to it, but I don't want to cover it right now. A lot of it hurts to still relive. The pain is still very real. But I understand. and I empathize. But before I just go into a babble about my past trauma, I think we should end it here. Just remember that with everything that you try, it's going to be a struggle and it's going to be a slow journey, but you will get there. Just be consistently work at it, and hopefully you'll build a strong network in time that'll show you just all the progress that you've made. And with that, remember that Mama Terra loves you, and I love you too, guys. Have a great one.
Tongue-tied in the rain, soaked to my toes, got the chills to the bone. Cold stare through the haze, shrill in my voice and my lungs swell with pain. Call me out by my name, speak to me soft, help me gather my thoughts. Drown it out, plug the drain. Turn the record over, it can't be over. Ah, 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 ah. Write me when you get there, to that better place where you can think straight. Send me love if you can. Manifest the best of your wildest fantasies. I hope you find what you need. Over the hills, sun sets in the trees, soak in the glorious rays. The sun will be out, beating down on your shoulders. Tie a rope round my waist as I venture into the dark. I'll be back by the time you finally know where you are. Tear my ego apart. We are all we are, and we are all but one. Send me up to the stars. The distance between means nothing to me, or bury me in the sand. After I've done for you all that I can, I'll tell you what I knew, but I've got no concept of what I'll know. Leave a breadcrumb trail for the wind to blow apart.